Right guys, so if you watched the last video, this is the UI section essentially. This is setting up the UI on the screen to represent the player's score. So let's just jump into it, let's not mess about. So if we right click in the hierarchy, UI, we want text. I'm just going to call this score text. And as you can see, this is the screen space here. And it's down here. As you can see, it's not on it. So if I just move this, you can see it's now on screen. But if I change the screen, the text just looks a little bit naff. And obviously, if you're putting this on a phone, they're all different resolutions. They're all a similar aspect ratio, so that's why it's set to 16:9. If you haven't set that already, make sure that that's set to 16:9 now, because this is where it gets important. So, there's many ways of doing this. I prefer to use these anchor positions that you can see here. So I kind of put them roughly where I want it to be. So this is going to be top left. And you should see here, it might look like this at the moment. So if it does, just click the little triangle or the arrow. And then I like to go in here and I like to round all the numbers to the nearest whole number or 0.5. And then just zero out all these top numbers and you'll see that it appears up here. I'm going to set it to the middle and I'm probably going to change the color because you can't really see it. And just for this video, I'm also going to put best fit on so it's massive and we can see that. So this is where the score is going to be. And we've set up the UI to work as such. You've seen me position it using the different anchor positions and zeroing out the numbers at the top. So yeah, let's crack on. So the next bit of this is back in here. We need to go right up to the top above the actual script itself, because what we need to set up is we need to set up Unity to allow us to use a section. Oh no, spell like that. A section, I cannot spell today. A section of the engine itself, which is the UI section. If we don't do this, it just won't work. So under the collection score that we put in the last video, I'm just going to add in a public text, which is going to be assigned as score text. Nice and simple. And then in the update function, or fixed update, whichever you've got, it doesn't really matter which one you throw this in. We're going to put a very simple line of code, which is going to say score text dot text equals collection score. That isn't an equals, that's an equals. It's collection score dot to string. Open and close brackets, hit a semicolon. And if we save this, we go back into here. I wait for everything to do its thing. And we'll see we've got score text in here now as a variable. So we just want to drag that into there. And if I click play, we should see that that is now 0. And then I'll pick that up and it is now 1. So that's nice and easy. I'll show you one last little thing, which it always kind of makes me laugh because this is like maths with words but not algebra. So what we want to say is I'm going to set it up to say the score, the word score in the UI itself. So what we need to do here is we need to put score. Make sure you've got a space in this before you put this, what are they called? Speech marks. Yep, quotation marks, whatever you want to call them. So this looks a little bit weird because we're essentially adding a word to a number, but we're converting this number to a word. So we should see now that when we go back in here, if that's all worked, that this now says score. Because it's setting it dependent on what the actual score is itself, we need to make sure we set the text to work in a very similar way. And as you can see, that's functional, the UI is working, and we can now gain score and have a visual representation on the screen. So yeah, that's that video. See you in the next one, guys. As I've said, we're going to be looking at switching the load level to work with requiring a certain amount of score, if that makes sense.